Hello, it is your girl Amani Sawari here with another policy update. Let's talk about third parties. We're going to talk about some of their campaign priorities. And so here is Chase Oliver's. Now, he is anti-war, and he did talk a lot about his anti-war stances, ballot access, as you can see. He's on a lot of ballots. I think he has the widest stretch. If I were to guess exactly how much he's going to get, I mean, with his stretch, he's going to nail at least 1% of the vote, maybe even 1.4 or 1.6. But my solid guess is going to be 1.4% that Chase Oliver is going to get on the federal election. So the next candidate we'll talk about is the most consistent third party candidate that we have, and her running mate is Butch Ware. He is definitely anti-war. He's pro-Palestine, just like Jill Stein, and they actually were on The Breakfast Club. It was actually really nice to see The Breakfast Club cover a third party candidate. If you don't know about any other third party candidate, you will know about the third party, the Green Party. Her last run, I also voted for her when it comes to ballot access. Jill Stein is actually not on the ballot in more than 4 states, but she is on the ballot in Michigan. She's a write-in candidate, a registered write-in candidate in North Dakota, Wyoming, Kansas, Iowa, Illinois, New York, and Vermont. But her goal is to get 5% of the vote. And I think if she doesn't get 5%, she's going to be knocking right on it at like 4.7, 4.8 is my official guess. Ballot coverage is pretty expensive, but surprisingly not as expensive as Chase Oliver. And she has a planet-based platform that is running with a focus on clean energy. If y'all not voting for Stein, or at least considering comparing Stein's platforms with whoever you're voting for, you have your head in the sand.
The Democrats are not the solution. They are part of the problem.
Another graphic.
The average household, according to Jeffrey Sachs, who I know is a friend of yours as well at the University of Columbia, it's $12,000 is the cost of the endless war machine to the average American household. Now, most Americans do not know what we are paying for this.
Arguably the most discussed in mainstream media.
RFK Jr. Let's start with the obvious. He is, first and foremost, a Kennedy. His uncle JFK was the 35th president who, as history buffs may know, was assassinated in 1963.
He had a very vigorous campaign, especially in early in the spring, March, April. He announced his running mate, which is Nicole Shanahan, a former accountant from the Bay Area and currently is a Silicon Valley attorney.
You can understand why I gravitated to the Democratic Party.
She's about to cry. All right, so that's that. He was actually gravitating to a lot of minorities as well.
And they're doing what you're saying, they're monetizing human misery, right? And they're not spitting out graduates who are now thriving. They're spitting out recidivists who are going to be back a year later. And they're factories for abuse. It's not a mechanism for creating wholesome communities and belief in our country and love for our country and love for our communities. And that's what we need to start doing. And the people who are in there because they're convicted of drugs should not be in those facilities. They should be in a place where they're getting treatment, where they're getting training, where they're getting job training, life training, and spiritual enlightenment, spiritual enrichment, because that ultimately we have to be able to induce in people who are enveloped in despair. We have to be able to induce in them profound spiritual realignments.
This man makes sense and has the best answers and solutions on how to fix some of our biggest issues. Well, this was 8 weeks ago. He was getting a ton of momentum. And then suddenly he dropped out. He was getting the most momentum, even more than Jill Stein, probably because of nepotism. But aside from that, he did have some really great responses. He was shifting a lot of eyes from the two-party system to the third-party options. So he threw all of his support behind Trump, and he tried to rebrand MAGA as Maha. So another candidate that I want to cover in depth is Brother Cornel West. So Brother Cornel West, he is a civil rights activist. He's an author. He's an academic. And he said that he got a lot of offers to suspend his campaign, just as RFK did. But he is standing his ground. He is the most popular third-party candidate in some areas. He pulled better than Donald Trump. So he was actually the second. And his running mate is Medina Abdullah, former chair of the Department of Pan-African Studies at California State University in Los Angeles. And she's also the co-founder of the Los Angeles branch of BLM. They are both also pro-Palestine and anti-war. She was very vocal about Marcellus Williams.
Fight together, laugh together, struggle together, but we are going to make sure there's an end of the occupation.
He is on the ballot in several states. In Michigan, where they were disputing the validity of some of his petition signatures to keep him off the ballot, but it looks like those were dismissed. Is a USA Today article from a Black Republican that is saying that he can't support Trump, and so he's going to be going for Brother Cornel West. But other lesser known candidates that I want to reintroduce you all to, if you didn't see my first video, you guys can learn more about Claudia de la Cruz. She's with Socialist Party, and she was present at the third party debate in February of this year. Her running mate, Karina Garcia, and they are running on the anti-capitalism platform, End Capitalism Before It Ends Us. Mapp said also with the Libertarian Party, which is another reason why he doesn't have as much coverage as his peer Libertarian Party presidential candidate Chase Oliver. As party mates, they do share ideals, and here is a shout out of Lars' work on Chase's Instagram page. There's also Jasmine Sherman. Her running mate is Tanda Bluebear. She's running on the You Deserve Better platform with a large focus on foreign policy as well. And as an unrelated side note, did y'all know Marianne Williamson is running? Yes, the Marianne Williamson from 2020. She got quite a bit of press back then. She ran as a Democrat, and I believe Kamala was also running in 2020, and she got more press than Kamala back then. I think she was kind of irked because she announced her Democratic run prior to Joe Biden. Harris didn't even make it to 2020, saying that she couldn't fund her own campaign because she wasn't a billionaire. But I guess she is now. And I think she feels like she should have gotten Joe's support instead of Kamala, because she's not a third party candidate. I just wanted to let y'all know that she's running. Those are the third party candidates. I hope this was helpful in learning a little bit about the third party candidates.